Hi everybody and welcome to another episode of the United States of a Movie podcast. We are the movie podcast that makes every Monday a fun day because we like to get together and we talk movies, but we have a purpose, and in fact, we have been on this purpose for about 65 weeks now. We've watched somewhere in the region of 175 movies because we want to define each state in the United States by just one movie. And in fact, we have actually already finished our first season and are currently right now just having a little bit of fun before we kick off season 2 to maybe rearrange the map. But we're doing a series of specials, and today we're doing a special, something that Will brought up during first season. It was a good idea, and I thought that would be a great special to get started in, is to figure out the best movie set in America, about Americans, but not made by Americans or in America. And I figured that was a bloody great idea. Now, before we dig into the movies that we chose, let's welcome back our amazing co-host. First of all, Ryan Sander, buddy, how you doing? Looking a little crispy in that Arizona.
Yeah, it's hot out here, man. It's so much so that I wish we had some sort of alligator-fueled flood, like in the near future, maybe just to cool everyone off a little bit.
Yeah, or maybe, shoot them with a gun. Actually, that does actually happen in that movie. Or maybe a few karate kicks would have been good to that one or two. But of course, we've also got to welcome back the man, the myth, the legend. He sits right now in his own video store in the center of Los Angeles, California. Will Hirsch, buddy, welcome back to the show.
Great to be back. Just helped my uncle set up his grocery store so that he could sell it, and there will be no further problems after that.
Is that a hovercraft I hear in the background?
I'm just now realizing
hovercraft.
That building sold for, if I remember right, $375,000, which is crazy to me.
Insane.
Like, I didn't clock it. Yeah, of course. Well,
they actually proper destroyed it. Now we
have
3 movies that honestly, wow, what a week, guys. We did
I thought once we crowned a winner, we were done and didn't have to do this dumb shit anymore. But you pitched this insane idea to do the best foreign film set in America, and this has been such a tremendous week for movies for us that we watched the third one all together last night,
and it was a joy. I did not expect that to be such an amazing movie. Yeah, we have a movie directed by a Frenchman, shot in Serbia. We've got a movie, a Hong Kong movie set in New York, shot in Vancouver, and we have a very French movie, a very French action movie where all the interiors are shot in France, all the exteriors are shot in New York, and every single one of them was a banger. I'll start off now. Will and I we picked 2 movies, but it doesn't matter which one of us picked. So I'll go with the one that I remembered watching a lot when I was a teenager. It was very much a movie that got me into this whole kind of movies can be a little bit different, and kind of sent me off down a little sort of spiral of French action movies. The movie that I brought to the table, 1994's Leon, also known as Leon the Professional in other parts of the world, written and directed by Luc Besson. Jean Reno, Gary Oldman in just...
Oh my God.
The greatest role he's ever done.
Don't know what he's doing with those pills. But is he putting them in and cracking his neck to crack the pills? I don't understand what's happening.
Here's the whole thing.
Fuck, is it cool?
It is cool as shit. And it has also got one of the most iconic debut, oh, by the way, I'm an incredible actor performances by 11/12-year-old Natalie Portman. I still remember watching that. I'm the exact same age as her. Yeah. And it's just, for me, it's that scene where she's standing in front of the door crying, "Please let me in." And I'm going, well, she's
tremendous.
The greatest actress I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
What a banger of a movie this one was.
And I should say I went on to, I watched the extended cut, which I had never seen before.
Oh, you both did it.
Yeah, and I can see there's some cool character stuff in it, but also some really troubling stuff that's probably best they left on the cutting room floor.
It's about 10 minutes longer. It's got an extended scene where she helps him kill a bunch of people. I remember that, does the whole "I'm an innocent girl." She puts the gum over the people.
There's a scene where they go out to dinner together, which is super fucking weird, and then there's a lot of weird shit in there.
So hang on a sec. I want to check. Had you both seen the theatrical though?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, good. Absolutely. All right, fine, great. Yeah. We can talk theatrical.
Shut up, nerd.
Get into extended. Great. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I tell you what. We will get into that movie, but we got two more to get into as well. Will, quickly, come on, mate. Tell us about your one. I was so excited. I haven't seen this movie I was trying to figure it out. I'd say easily 33 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I brought Rumble to the Bronx, Rumble in the Bronx to the table because
can't even remember the title. Jesus Christ.
Can't remember the title. Can't barely remember the plot.
Rumble to the Bronx is the sequel.
Yeah, Rumble to the Bronx. This was what gave me the idea to like pitch this whole concept. Is I was like, because it's so not New York where they are, like where they're taking place.
It's the famous mountains of New York City.
I remember seeing this in the theater in New York and going like,
hell yeah.
Wait a minute. Because you get that opening establishing shot and you're like, that's how you know this movie is set in New York. But then throughout it, you're like, wait, I don't.
Every 10 minutes or so, they throw in the shots of the Twin Towers. They go, oh, that's right, we're in New York. And they cut back.
Honestly, it didn't fucking bother me until the second half of the movie, which is like, there's
just give up.
Forest and mountains.
Just,
like,
they're literally
crazy.
in the wilderness.
And hovercrafts. We don't have hovercrafts in New York. Come on.
Man, but God, this movie rules.
This fucking rips. Yeah.
I saw this movie when I was a real little kid, and this is the movie that introduced me to Jackie Chan.
I was gonna say this. I assume this movie introduced everyone to in America, at least, to Jackie Chan.
I was about to say,
see,
and my memory is foggy, but the thing is, I am a Hong Kong boy. Much like Jackie Chan, so there's Police Story. I mean, for me, I honestly think it was Police Story 3 Super Cop was an absolute banger to me. But I remember, and I was kind of, my kids came in while I was watching it. I was just trying to drag them in. No, just watch a few minutes of Jackie Chan being amazing. Because when I was sort of younger, my brothers and we saw these Jackie Chan movies. That was what we did for years. We would go to the video store and we found every single Jackie Chan movie that we could get. Now, I'm not very experienced. I've seen Drunken Master once. I never saw the sequel. So if you go really far back, I'm from Police Story 1 onwards. I think I saw every Jackie Chan movie for maybe 15 years.
For me, it was all the ones they just showed on that didn't get theatrical releases. There was like Operation Condor maybe got. Who Am I was a dope one. They had that scene on the roof where he slides down the building. Yes. Super cool. Super Cop was another one, I think.
First Strike, Mr. Nice Guy. All that shit.
It was everything like it was like all of that leading up until Rush Hour was like a major breakthrough for him,
That's when all my friends discovered Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Like once I saw Rumble in the Bronx, I was like, I need to see everything.
Yeah. I'm sure I rented that on VHS countless times. It's crazy.
But
but it's such a fucking fun movie.
Have you ever seen Police Story 1? And that's just
probably.
It is. Peak, absolute peak Jackie, and then Super Cop, which introduced us to Michelle Yeoh, and then this was basically Jackie Chan's introduction to America. He's listed here as executive producer on Gen X Cops. I was in the sequel, died in that movie. Don't ever watch it; it's terrible. But it's like it's what I love about it is, okay, guys, we're going to make a movie for an American audience, and then we're going to have a conversation and go, hey, how's your English going? Let's just do it in English from now on, and then ADR the rest of the movie.
Yeah, so much so that I was like, there was never a dub, like a proper language version of this film.
I was reading that if you can find a Japanese version, a DVD, you have everyone speaking in their native. So he's speaking Cantonese, the other characters are speaking English around him while he's speaking Cantonese. But the plan was always to ADR it for each individual sort of market.
Yeah, I mean, it's him ADRing his own voice in English, which is
fine. He's just having to do it phonetically because he couldn't really speak English back then, which is even better. It's great. I mean, honestly,
it's like Ricky O levels of ADR. It's perfect. It's
I think at some point I texted you guys, there wasn't a single microphone on set. There was no sound guy at all.
It always trips me up when you like, for foreign language films, it's one thing, but once you get to like an English speaking character that is then redubbed over in English in their own voice and just never matches up, it's always odd. Like I think they most recent was like RRR, the one
the Hindi version.
Yeah, or just the English lady. Like any English character is dubbed over in English with their own voice. Otherwise, it would feel so out of place, I guess. But
again,
doesn't matter.
I became blind to it watching all of
this movie. Like changed how like I perceived action movies to be, like fight choreography. Like, because up until this, it was like your Van Dammes and Stallones, it was all guns, but like seeing the action in this and then seeing the outtakes at the end, knowing how real it is, blew my fucking mind.
Well, it's a level of, you know, when so there's certain Jackie Chan movies in America, when you watch them, they're not as good. Because if you just get sort of, they don't know how to shoot the action. And like, if you don't let Jackie and his team do it, like they also just don't understand is like the reason that Jackie can do these amazing things, like it's one of the movies where he flips up a clog off the floor and does a roundhouse kick, and the clog goes and hits the guy in the face, and then they show you the 67 takes it takes to get that. And he's like, that's the way they do it. And the other thing is that they don't overly choreograph; they choreograph as they go, as well, which is just And for me,
that's insane.
For me, the Jackie Chan of it all is the guy is Buster Keaton. He's Charlie Chaplin. He's Mr. Bean with kicks.
He gets fucking hurt. Like, he is not invincible. He gets like brutally beaten up a lot.
Especially in this movie. It was a scene, Will, you pointed out, right? That you said there's not many action people that would have the guts to do that scene. Why don't you tell us about it?
Oh, I might not actually know which one you're talking about.
It's the handstand where he's wearing the onesie, right?
Yeah. Oh my god. The bit where he gets completely messed up by bottles.
The bottles, yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. Where he's in the alleyway and they're just chucking glass bottles at him.
There's a right before that happens, the guy, what's his name? Angelo, the head henchman, who's a goofball.
Dirtbag Daniel Craig.
Yes, but he like yells out something that implies that they do this constantly. Like,
of course,
this baseball thing happens a lot.
They were prepared for it, like, so they wrapped their baseball bats, so they knew what they were doing, and then clearly it was where they do all their drinking, because there were lots of empty bottles.
So many bottles.
But there's not many sort of actor, director, producers, you know, superstars that will let themselves. I mean, look at the Fast and Furious movie, where everyone has a contract that they can't lose a fight.
Right.
So it's just fucking all right.
So fun, really. Yeah, like
he wins. You know, Jackie Chan gets the ever-living shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, so much so. I'm like, I bet they were. I was like, I'm sure they were using sugar bottles, like glass, you know, those glass bottles made of sugar. But still, like, I'm sure he was like, no, we'll do it live. Like, and use real bottles.
Chan, he's like, no, guys, just use real bottles. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen?
God,
and like,
that scene is so fucking
all the people going to hospital.
We got to start from the beginning of that film and go forward, though. We can't just jump around. That's so much. So much happens in that.
We will, but there's one more movie that we should talk about. It is the one that is honestly, it scrapes by because it is technically an American movie. It is technically produced by Sam Raimi, but is directed by a Frenchman and shot entirely in Serbia. And of the 8 top billed actors, 6 are British, 1's Canadian, and the other is Croatian. So this definitely, I'm going to give it. It fits the bill. But Ryan, you brought a movie to the table that I got all cracked up to just lay into and have some fun. And by the end of it, we're all going, this is a good fucking movie.
Damn shame. I was really hoping this would be an absolute shitfest. But no, it's a well-crafted, tense film, like a good thriller. Like,
it bloody is.
Yeah, and not, I wouldn't say an original plot by any means, but it's got a great little hook to it.
Invented. You know? Tell us what's the movie?
It's Crawl from 2019, did we say?
2019, yeah. The movie is Crawl. I'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
Directed by Alexander Aja. I know, like I said, French fella. Stars the Brit Kaya Scodelario, who been in a bunch of movies, and in fact has been in the Maze Runner movies with her co-star Barry Pepper. But you may know her if you watch TV right now. It's The Gentleman on Netflix. She's the lead. She's the one that's working with the captain.
Or if you're old and horny, she was Effie in Skins.
Oh, right. Yes, I've heard about it. As the only guy that hasn't seen the very famous British TV show is the British guy on the podcast. But I left the country by that point. But this is a movie that has, it's a bottle movie that basically is set in Florida, Category 5 hurricane, and they're trapped in a house surrounded by really fucking angry alligators.
Yeah. I think we said last night, it's as though they took one tiny scene from a Roland Emmerich film and then just built an entire movie around it.
Yeah.
Like, what if you, like this is just one thing that happens off to the side in a Roland Emmerich disaster film.
And it should be absolute garbage. And
Yeah.
to begin with, we were having fun with it, and oh, that's funny and that's convenient. Oh, she's been, and then more and more, and then they got very clever about it's going to be okay. No, it's not. We're getting out. No, we're not.
And every single time you thought something was going to happen, you were red herringed, and the other thing happened, which is really nice to see, like, genuinely.
But I tell you what, we're going to save that one for last, because like Ryan said, we got together last night. We all jumped on Zoom. We watched that one together, and I'm amazed I didn't wake up my family with the amount of like, oh, damn!
Same. I thought I was waking up everybody in my house, because there were a bunch of times where it was like, oh shit.
I woke up thinking I was half gator.
But I tell you what, this is one of those. This is why I love this podcast, because this is a movie that I will recommend to many.
And a movie you never would have watched in a million years.
No, that is the skip over on Netflix every single time.
And it's topical because they just announced Crawl 2, Back in the City, takes place in New York. And my mind is already wondering, I'm like, people swimming through subways and alligators driving buses, and
I was
John Wilson filming it. I don't know.
Sharknado. And what I got was a Jaws-esque kind of well-made, like, movie. Well done. Like, all right, we'll get to it. We will get to it. So I'll tell you what, let's go. We'll rewind. We're going to go all the way back. Honestly, like, there's no good or bad place to start on this because they're all bangers. But let's start talking Leon. Let's start talking Leon, because that is a movie that has, I own it. I have owned it in many different forms. I think I had it on VHS or VCD. I know I had it on DVD, you know, and now I own it as well. But like, it is a movie that is I watched a lot when I was younger. I was so into Luc Besson, which is why when like Fifth Element was coming, I was very excited. And watching Leon, you see cinematography, you see music, sound, all these things.
Eric Serra doing the soundtrack to this is like, he did this in GoldenEye, like that distinct, like there's just something about his soundtracks.
It's like that metal, like tang thing, like just almost like he's banging on a pipe or something. But I don't quite know what that sound is, but that is so 90s. It's so like cinematic to me.
Yeah. No, and it's got a great look. And they definitely, like I said, I was telling you, and I didn't know this, but all the interiors are shot in France.
I had no idea.
Neither did I. Because they use New York a lot. They get a lot of exteriors, a lot of long shots. I mean, even the opening shot, you know, it's all like, oh, is this movie in New York? I couldn't tell.
They shoot there for like a week or two, and
I don't know. I mean, like, that's why I'd love to go.
Because you have like Gary Oldman coming out of like that little convenience store, and like just her hopping into the cab. Like, there is a lot of New York in this movie.
A lot. And it is like, all right, so let's quickly, if you haven't seen the movie Leon, it tells a story of a guy, French guy, who's living in the city by himself, and it turns out he's sort of a bit of a hitman, but he seems quite sort of like a little simple. He's very emotionally immature.
Got the mind of a child, right?
A little bit, very much so. I mean, to the point that that's what's quite interesting is that when, and we'll get to it, but when there's the scenes later with Natalie Portman, that she is the more adult of the two. You know, he's very much more innocent. He's just very good at killing people. He's come in as an immigrant. You find out later he's basically been taken advantage of by this guy that's sort of like a mafia guy, and he's just sort of worked as a cleaner, no women, no kids is his number one thing.
Is he playing a character like? Because he also pops up in which came up before this. The other one is Point of No Return with which is a remake of that with. Oh my God!
Which one was he? Was he in the American one or the French one? Because I
think he's in the American one.
I think he's in La Femme Nikita, because they were saying imagine Leon kind of like that character's American cousin who's a bit.
Yeah, he comes in as he's the cleaner. He's the one that takes care of it. I think he is in Point of No Return. Let me see. So like, I'm pretty sure.
But the crux of the story is that his neighbor is a guy that's involved with drugs and stuff, and he's got a family. One of the family members is 11, 12-year-old. What's her name? What's her character's name for a second?
Matilda.
Matilda, of course. And in what is, I remember being quite brutal, is that scene where suddenly Gary Oldman and his thugs turn up. They take out the entire family. Horrifying. Including the 5-year-old. And then it's only sort of like after that we realize that they are cops. They're DEA. And so basically it's the dirty DEA trying to clean up a mess. She's the only sort of like witness, is Matilda, and they're also looking for basically a missing whatever it is of coke. But it doesn't really matter. What it really is a movie of an orphan child and a kind of like an orphan guy, and she's been forced to grow up way too early, and he's kind of like a perpetual child.
Yeah.
And they end up in this kind of just this pair of looking out for each other. And it's a French movie, so it's not like a happy ending.
It's a real will they, won't
Right.
they?
They won't. But I mean, that's the thing, because you guys have been joking about it. So I went and I was really watching it. When I was watching it, I know you watched the extended edition, but is that I find that like that Natalie Portman's character is always running. She's because she's grown up in, like, you know, you've seen in the opening scene that she's got the parents are fucking in the bathroom, and you know she's
Right.
basically she's raised her 5-year-old, and it seems that she's a half sibling to the other ones, and she's just been forced to grow up way too early. You
Right.
know, she's just been exposed to everything far too early, and then you can kind of see that like she realizes that she can control other people with her burgeoning sexuality, the way that she smokes and the way that she talks. She's learned how to do it, but she doesn't know what she's doing.
Right.
You know, I think like
you do get a lot more of that in the extended cut too, for
Yeah.
sure.
but like, but then you see Jean Reno's character is like he's just half a child. He's not like
Yeah.
it's not like he's mentally slow. He's just not fully there.
Yeah.
Is
You get
is-
his-
He's just
Yeah.
kind of a weird guy. Like that's just kind of like
We get his
the vibe-
backstory too, like in that
Yeah.
extended cut, where he's got his whole monologue about he's like, I fell in love with this girl, and then all this terrible shit happened. So I came to America when I was 19 and killed my first guy, and here we are.
well, see,
Yeah,
I kind
he's-
of like the ambiguousness of the theatrical.
I do too.
Basically,
I do too. It's
Yeah,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
do prefer the theatrical.
he's mysteriously asexual, is the way I
Yeah.
read him in in
He-
in the theatrical cut.
I mean, he made wearing a beanie and those tiny little glasses super fucking cool,
As
right?
Mhm.
So much so that she emulates it later on.
yeah.
But again, you
Basically.
you get that little line of dialogue in the extended cut where he's like, what's that for? And he goes, might get cold. That's just it.
Yeah.
very good.
I always got the sense in the theatrical version, even though I do like the sequence where she's like helping him kill all these guys.
Yeah.
That's the one.
That is a
That's
cool-
the one part I'd leave in. I agree.
Yeah, that part's awesome. But like in the theatrical cut, the version that I think Jean Reno is playing he is like somebody who he cares about this girl, but it's much more of well, I'm like the only adult who can take care of her.
Right.
And like and she's of course like latched onto him, but it is not like mutual in the same way.
Mhm.
The theatrical there or the extended cut murkies that water a little bit more, which I don't
Yeah.
like. And then I was telling you guys, if you read the script,
Dude.
it just nosedives right in. And so I
But
don't recommend
she
I don't
lies and
recommend reading the
She
script.
lies and says that she's 18 to him, and he's dumb enough to believe it because
He
I know
is
three
I think-
things: one, bullets; A, guns; and 3, death. Like boy, I don't know how to read.
Yeah, the thing about his character is he at the end of the day, because I don't know if I saw him as like mentally he's kind of like childlike. I just see him as he's just a weird dude. Like as anybody who had his background and killed a lot of people since they were a teenager
Yeah,
would be
that's all he
kind of
knows.
a weird
Yeah,
person.
he doesn't sleep in his bed.
No,
sits
he
in the
drinks
corner.
milk.
He drinks
Yeah.
milk. He sits in a chair in the corner. He turns the lights off with a gun. But then,
Goes to the movies by himself. Which, hey, I do that.
right?
Sure.
Well, kind of like what Will was saying, as well as like that very first night when Matilda falls asleep. What does he do? He puts a gun to her
yeah,
head and
right.
considers blowing her head off and making
Yeah.
his life
Yeah.
simple again. And he goes, all right. But she's got such a force of personality as a character that she kind of just bulldozes him, just completely bulldozes him. Like he's an introvert, she's an extrovert. He can't keep up. And then he's like, all right. And then like, I was one of my bits that it's an unexpected, it's a funny bit, but it's where she's like, okay, I want to become a cleaner. He's like, you know, here, take a gun, go clean. You can't do anything. And she just shoots it
Yeah.
out the window.
Crazy. That's New York for you.
Yeah. You get the
Yeah.
next scene, they do that long shot where they're
Yeah.
walking for about 10,
Love
15
it.
seconds before he goes,
Love it.
never do that again. And then they just start walking again.
Stop saying okay. Okay.
Okay.
God, it's great.
But it's beautifully shot.
It's so good.
It's such an attractive movie. It's
and
like,
it's got that amber. It does have
yes,
that
I was
very
about to say,
amber
Yeah.
it's
color
got that
tone
Tony
to it.
Scott Bad Boys 2
Feels,
amber without it being
it
shit.
feels like a hot summer in New York. You know,
Yep.
they've got like these heavy suits, and Gary Oldman is just the most fucking terrifying villain in this film. Like
It's
like
his,
it's
it's his
crazy.
best villain role. I mean,
Yeah.
he's done.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he played fucking Dracula. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's played all kinds of roles. I just used
But
to know
this is
the
like
bad guy.
oof.
But this
Scary.
movie, he's scary. He's
Yeah.
unpredictable. He's smart. He's like, you know, he's got those moments where,
And he's got a badge, so it makes him even more scary.
Yeah,
Like he can
but
get
it-
away with anything.
it's like the bit where you think Natalie Portman's got the jump on him, and suddenly he appears behind the door.
Which how did that happen? Like
And-
he's so observant, even though he's all whacked out on fucking
Well, maybe
quaaludes.
it helps focus him. You never know. Maybe it's just.
Oh, he's taking those limitless pills? Okay.
Yeah, the limitless bit.
Sure,
Or
sure.
like the bit later on where, like, you know, like I said, it's you know, I'm skipping ahead to the end, but instead of it being like a John Wickian style, he carves his way through the building, which is what any
Yeah.
American movie would do. He kind of creates a situation, is smart about it, but like gets
so
shot.
much so that they just have to bring in a fucking rocket launcher to this
Well,
tiny
hold on a
little
second.
apartment.
What did Gary Oldman say? Bring
Yes.
everyone.
But then he does, it blows up the thing, and he's like, well, I didn't tell you to blow up the fucking building.
Right.
Mixed signals, man. Make up your mind.
What
Yeah.
I do like actually is all of those sort of like ancillary cop characters. Like it's the
Oh,
first
yeah.
guy at the beginning, and then all the guys that they're all fucking terrified. They're
The
like,
hu-
remember that guy
henchman,
right
yeah.
at the beginning that's just like pouring with sweat with his gun almost.
Yeah.
It's just
Mhm.
Then you have the guy that looks like Joe Chill from the Batman
Yeah,
films.
yeah,
It's just
Right.
like, and then you have they're so like, it's such, listen, we talk about this all the time. We love great henchmen, and this movie has great henchmen. You got the guy with the dreads, like
Willy One Blood.
Yeah.
what is, yeah, right, exactly. What is this team of officers? Are they just all undercover?
I had to look him up because you're so right that they've got such colorful guys there.
Yeah.
That I'm like, what is this guy's deal? I look him up and I'm like, they've got some white guy. He's basically playing Drexel, which is Gary
Right.
Oldman's character from fucking True Romance.
Right.
But I look him
Yeah.
up and I'm like, no, Willy One Blood is a reggae singer and actor from fucking Jamaica.
Great. Okay.
Wow.
He literally is just.
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
name two of his songs.
I mean, just yeah, you just wonder like how did all these guys meet? Like how did these guys like all get linked up? Especially
Yeah,
when
in the
somebody has-
DEA. Everyone else
Because
is
they all
and then you
did
got these
Spider-Man
fucking
point. They're like,
guys
wait,
with dreads.
you like stealing drugs too? Well, we can all steal drugs together.
Wait,
And
not to
then-
steal them. I like doing drugs too.
Basically, this movie is a story about two different found families, right? You got
Yeah.
Matilda and Leon, and then you got Gary Oldman and his crew.
Gary
He
Oldman
does,
is
like-
basically he's like 180 pounds of cocaine in a human suit.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Is like
But
all he is.
his line delivery, like he's so calm and then explosive. It's such a terrifying performance.
Without being, you know, it's funny. I was just listening to a podcast today they're talking about Sense of a Woman, and they were talking about how Pacino is just like how that movie hasn't aged, that performance hasn't aged very well. Like Pacino is just too big, too much all the
Mhm.
time. That's a really good point. Is that when, like, for example, right at the beginning where Gary Oldman comes back at 1 minute past noon, and he takes his drug, so now he's just fucking high as a kite, and he leaves behind all of his guys, and he just goes rampaging.
Ugh,
But he's rampaging
to the music.
listening to Beethoven in his
Yeah.
head. He's
Yeah.
not listening to music. You can't even hear the music. He's just conducting imaginary music, blowing people away. And it's one of my favorite shots of the movie where you see the long shot of the corridor with all the guys gathered around the door,
They're
freaking.
fumbling over each. He's just moving through.
He
room to
walks
room,
past
like,
and they all panic and
oh
stuff. And I'm
my
just like,
God.
it really does get into that. It makes him scary.
Ugh. Yeah, and then he
Yeah.
unloads. He unloads on the dad, and he's like, he's dead. And he's just like, I'm calm. I'm
Yeah.
calm.
Yeah.
And then he reloads his gun, fires it at the old lady, and he's like, go back inside. Great.
Old lady's not that traumatized. That old
Like
lady's
again,
seen some
this
shit.
happens in this building constantly.
Will,
Yeah.
this is 1996, like New York, and that woman was 120 years old. She lived through
Yeah.
gangs of New
It's a
York.
rent-controlled building.
Yeah.
She ain't going anywhere.
She's
Yeah, her
seen
boyfriend was
shit.
Billy
Sure.
Butcher, so she's
Right.
just
Yeah.
totally over this.
And it's ever established, like, because she, after that scene when she's like, she's sad that her brother is killed, and it like, but is it implied that it's like her father remarried this other woman and has like,
I was trying
it's
to
a
figure that out
weird,
because she is the mother of the older sister, but they're
right,
half
right,
siblings. How did
right.
that work? Because trust me,
Yeah,
I for a second just paused it and I was like, no, that's what she said. So wait a minute, but how is he with her? Did they get? The thing is, it doesn't fucking matter. It just,
right.
it's a confusing sort of mixed situation where, like you said, the only purity in that entire apartment is a 5-year-old boy that she's the mother to, and he gets blown away by Willy One Blood. You know, like just in
Whoa.
that chaotic action.
I'm so glad they didn't show it too, like,
Yeah.
because
Right.
they easily, you get
Well,
that brief bit later when she goes back to the apartment and she's standing in the outline. It's just like, oh man, they
I
even
think
need
the
to see
most
that.
brutal shot of the movie is it's brilliantly done. It's the stepmother or whatever
The
getting shot in
bathtub.
the bathtub.
Oof.
Yeah.
How they did that, because it's shot from the top and you get the explosion of bubbles and stuff like that. It's
Mhm.
like, it's brutal. But you may notice that, like, when you think about it, it's like, it's not that graphically violent. Like in American movies, it would focus on like a knife going into the head, or like people get shot and there's blood, but it's not like, it's some of it. Like you said, when the kid gets shot,
It's almost like a comic book. Like,
yes, well, it's that
you know.
French. This movie got me into French action, and if you ever want to see, I could not more highly recommend it. It's called Doberman. I believe it stars Vincent Cassel and his missus, who's the most beautiful French woman. She's the girlfriend of the Merovingian in Matrix. She's you know exactly.
Monica Bellucci.
Monica Bellucci.
Yeah.
So it's Vincent Cassel, Monica Bellucci. It is one of the coolest action movies I've ever seen, but it's a French action movie. And this is kind of, like I said, the French, I love French rap and I love French action movies. Like, you know, like, have you ever seen La Haine as well? The Hate. It's a black and white movie. A lot of faces that you'll recognize. It's a very famous French movie. Brilliant. And I tell you, it's this movie and Luc Besson that sent me down this kind of track, because it's kind of like we were talking about when we talked about this idea, the way that Verhoeven gets Americans and the way that like Roland Emmerich gets Americans, and they have their own different version. And it's like this telling an American story with this French style. Like,
and did they make Luc Besson's character in this Italian? Am I correct in that? Like when they're
Jean Reno.
When Jean Reno, when Gary Oldman's character is looking for him, after he
no, I'll tell you what, they're looking for him because he's part of the Italian gang.
Okay, but it's never implied
so he's working for Danny Aiello.
Right.
Aiello. But it's Tony, the most, hey, Tony, and he's always in his pasta place. But no, yeah. So basically, is this when he was talking about, you know, Italian? I'm looking for the Italian. It's like he works for the Italians.
Gotcha.
When he took out the Chinese,
that's what I thought.
And stuff like that,
which was so fucking cool. Oh my, like,
yeah.
Having him tell that story and then it flashes to it happening is such an awesome technique.
And then he said something like, "No women, no kids." You know,
it's
fucking
like, great. Yeah,
like,
the way he moved, he was like efficient.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but if you think about it, I'm like, well, who told him that he said that? Because everyone's dead. So, who told him that story?
I guess he let that guy live. No.
Yeah, well, not that guy. He killed Gary Oldman's homie. But yeah, like the way he just
right.
He's always like a shadow. Like that opening scene where he takes out like the guy with the 2 Uzis, the guy.
So cool.
And
great
he just,
cold open.
Awesome.
But you don't really see the kills, do you?
No.
You see the aftermath of the kills, or you see the bullet holes coming through the walls.
He's just like, he must just be crawling on the fucking ceiling at that point. Like, it's crazy how terrifying these kills are because you don't see them happening. Like, it's like a guy getting pulled over. It's like playing Hitman. It's just like, it's ridiculous.
It's the opposite of John Wick, but that's not criticized.
It's still so cool and slick though.
Yeah, it's not criticizing John Wick. It's a different style. Like the 2 examples that I'll use. One is, like I said, the end scene, instead of him taking out 200 guys, he takes out 8 guys and then is smart and gets his way out. And it's the same bit when he breaks into the police station to get Matilda, walks into the DEA, right? Goes up the lift, kills the 2 guys and gets out, gets the cab to wait for him.
10 minutes. He says it's 10 minutes.
Exactly. Like you get a scene of like the lift going up and then suddenly the door bursts open.
And I was like, this was pre 9/11 where he could just walk into the fucking DEA building, like loaded to the fucking teeth, take out 2 security guards, take the elevator up, like avoid security completely, and push point blank shoot 2 guys, and then she runs over, hugs, they leave.
One of my favorite, it's a very subtle moment. One of my favorite is that opening scene where he's got the knife to the guy, and he tells him to make the phone call. And I love that the guy on the other end is like, "You got the message?" And let me talk. Let me talk to him. And I like the guy's like, "It's for you." Jean Reno does this little thing where he's like, like he wasn't expecting that part. He's just okay.
While he's got the knife to this guy, like, which is such a great callback when he's training her. He's like, "You got to work your way to the knife." That's a nice little touch.
I like the bit where he starts training it, and we have that completely unexplained, hilarious scene where the random person she chooses to practice assassinating
is like a senator or something,
a
right?
Presidential candidate.
Right.
And you see that look on his face. He's packing up the gun, like, "Oh, we should go."
Yeah.
What an unrealistic scenario.
Yeah, right? Oh my God. Yeah, totally off the nose there, Will. Jesus.
And the guy who gets shot is so like nonchalant about the whole thing. He's like, "Look, guys, I'm fine. Like,
it's all good.
I'm running here."
God. It's also got this is the movie that introduced me to Venus as a Boy. Bjork,
oh yeah,
it's whenever I hear 2 songs, "Shape of My Heart" by Sting and "Venus as a Boy" Bjork, I immediately start picturing scenes from Leon. And it's like, that's why there's always like songs like that when you get
a great montage song in this.
When you hear that song, it doesn't matter if how well you know the song or how many times you've heard it since. It takes
it's from this,
for sure. That movie scene. That's it's a banger.
It's them working out, drinking the milk, watering the plant. Like it's so good. The imagery for that.
I like that. There's and they've got those cute bits because like I said, for the threat, the thing that he can't deal with is the burgeoning sexuality of a teenage girl. And it's like that bit where they're going to play the dress up game. And the first 2 characters that she does are Madonna, in lingerie, and then she does Marilyn Monroe also, right, and he's just he's not getting it.
Yeah,
and it's only when she goes to kind of doing Singing in the Rain, he goes, "Oh,
yeah." But if it leads me to think he's going to see all of these old films. How would he not know Marilyn Monroe unless it just seems.
I think it's the asexuality thing I'm talking about. I don't think he just doesn't look at women that way.
I think it's another thing. I think he only goes to see musicals.
Ooh.
Because he sees Singing in the Rain, and there's something else he responds, and I forget now. But I think that's the thing is he only goes to see musicals. And so if it did not show up in an old Hollywood musical, he's blind to it, and he doesn't.
So you think he's seen Oklahoma?
He loves Oklahoma.
No
like I said, he's weird. Like a weird guy would.
But this movie landed. It was just one of those movies that, it's me standing like an old bastard, but the good old days of, word of mouth or someone passing a VHS around. It wasn't you hear about it on Twitter or you didn't see it on Collider.com. You weren't watching the trailers unless you saw it on a VHS that you'd also rented. And it was just people going, "Have you seen this movie? Have you seen this movie? You should watch this movie." It's like, this movie is dope. And it's it's another one of those movies. I bring it up all the time, but when I'm watching, we were at boarding school. And I always say, these VHS tapes would go around the school and you'd see it 7-8 times in 2 weeks. And these movies would just imprint on you. This is one of those movies.
This was definitely on, for me, this was on cable, I'm sure, all the time.
Oh, all
the time. Brag. I didn't get
or it was a laser disc rental. It was just one of those unique films. I think all 3 of these films we picked here are pretty unique in their own right for when they came out and what they achieved.
Oh yeah.
Which is I just wish there was more overlap. I like to think that during Leon the Professional, Jackie Chan is also running around the fucking Bronx tearing shit up.
We can only hope. I do want
to think that too.
Leon and Matilda are having this beautiful moment in the street and just a fucking hovercraft zips by.
Hell yeah. That's gonna be I was telling you guys, I really seeing this movie again made me be like, man, I really want a sequel with adult Matilda.
Yeah. Besson wrote a script for a sequel. It was called Matilda. Filming was delayed until Portman was older. But in the meantime, Besson left the Gaumont Film Company to start his own movie studio, EuropaCorp. And then so the film company he left because they were pissed held on to the rights, so never released. But yeah, that would have been cool. I would have seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would watch it now.
I think in the hands of an equally capable director could make that movie or something.
I'd want it to be a European director.
Yeah, I'm sure there are other, like, the plot of that sounds like a million other movies I've seen, like for like a foreign action, like Indonesian action films. The title of it escapes me, but that sound like the plot of this young girl surviving this traumatic thing and then becoming herself a hitman to get revenge. It's like that's been done before, but
I would even like to see it like it's Matilda, like a completely unrelated. Like if I were in charge of like the sequel, I would maybe reference this movie once. It like kind of offhand. I would just have it be totally like
she just wears the little glasses.
Yeah, like I would even have it be like she's like a retired cleaner, like she's left it behind.
She started a cleaning school for young girls.
There we go.
So that movie I was telling about, the French action movie Doberman, that came out in '97.
Oh. Wow.
So it's Vincent Cassel, Monica Bellucci, and the guy whose name I can't say, but you'd recognize him, Takeri Cario. He's the bad guy from the first Bad Boys movie.
Oh, okay.
The head bad guy from the first Bad Boys movie that like ends up in the car crash and gets shot in the legs by Mike Lowry. That guy. But yeah, it's dope. We should watch it. We should figure out a way to watch it.
Okay.
But like, so Leon came out. It was a big movie. I mean, it's a $16 million movie. It made nearly $50 million.
I don't remember this in theaters out here, like in the States. I really don't.
No, I don't either. It was the poster. It was a poster that people had on walls at school.
Yeah.
And then it was like, and then it was just like I said, once you saw the movie, it was a VHS that everyone was like, oh man, you guys want to watch.
Like, Will, do you remember this when you were? Yeah, like
no, this was pretty much a video store like stalwart. Like that's that's where I saw it, and I rented it a lot. Like I think I rented it from Video Update a whole lot back in the day. That's where I really knew this from. I never remember any theatrical release.
Yeah, it does feel very America, doesn't it? That's the thing. Like we're talking about with New York, the New York is bang on. Like sort of like Ryan was saying, you can almost smell New York in this movie. People are sweaty.
It's a heavy stereotype-driven version of it, for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely shopping in bodegas, and you got the Italian gangster, and you got the everything else. And
He's getting his haircut in the Italian restaurant, which I was like,
it feels so much so like a graphic novel, but I have such a bad track record for graphic novels that are turned into films. Like some of them just don't land for me. Like Polar was one, these like really graphic, violent books that they try and turn into film just don't translate as well. Whereas this has that feel to it. Like it feels like a very well shot, storyboarded, like comic book. There's just something about it. It's polished, you know?
It's just, it's. I think what you're bringing up is because it's the cinematography. It feels very staged, like
and the score, the soundtrack. It's
But like it's those little bits, like when Willy One Blood is firing the gun, and you get the perspective of just the chaos, and then it's the other side of it.
Yeah.
And it's like it's the same shot that you were talking about earlier with Natalie Portman standing in the outline of her dead brother.
It's great,
like, the long shots of Matilda, and he's got such an iconic look. And she's always carrying his plant.
This would probably look really, not to sound fucking pretentious, but this movie would look really good if it was shot in black and white.
Yeah,
I can see it. Like
Léon sans couleur.
A lot of cigarettes in this. Great cigarette work.
Lots of cigarette. Well, it's the 90s.
It's no Broken Arrow, but it is pretty good.
Oh man, I wish I could. I was trying to do it the other day. It just doesn't work. It's really hard to do. All right. Well, look, there's no argument from us. Leon's an absolute fucking banger. It is like, but it's like it brings this sense of America, this sense of New York, but without it going like the violence isn't insane. It's a little bit more. It's very much more characters. There's so much that's going on people's faces. That shot of Natalie Portman. It's just a static shot of her crying at the door, waiting for it. It's the close-up on Gary Oldman's face when he goes up to the camera and he cracks into whatever drug he's taking, and you just see
the close-up of Leon's face when he screams after he puts her down the thing.
Man,
it's like when you step on a Lego.
Yeah.
That's how he got into character.
That's the move. Yeah.
Honestly, that's bang on. But like Jean Reno's nose should have his own acting like Oscar as well. Even like in Mission Impossible 1, it's one of my favorite bits where they're lowering Tom Cruise and you got to keep quiet, and Jean Reno sneezes, and he goes like Tom Cruise is like, from now on, absolute silence, and he does this thing where he rubs his nose twice and pushes it the other way, and his nose moves so much.
It's like a doorstop. Yeah,
it's fascinating to me that I'm always like, look at that
great nose acting. Yeah.
Great.
Almost as good as Mitch from Dazed and Confused. Is just
no, you mean that? Yeah. He's just constantly. Mitch? Yeah. Nose acting, just constant.
Great.
We need to get Jean Reno and Bruce Campbell in a movie together, so that way we can have the chin and the nose finally on screen.
One smells crime, the other
takes it on the chin.
Oh, there we go. See, Hollywood.
Write it down. All right. Well, let's leave Leon behind and let's go just down the road to the Bronx of Vancouver. For Rumble in the Bronx. As a child, I was surprised that New York had quite so many inlets, boats, mountains, trees,
hovercrafts,
Canadian people.
Yeah.
And a whopping 3 black people.
But let's talk. This is a pure, straight up golden harvest. This is. It was kind of like when I was texting with you guys. Oh, this passed the smell test. The credits have been going for 5 minutes, and everybody's got an Asian name. Single person from America.
Strangely enough, Danny Aiello is also in this movie.
Yeah, he plays the hovercraft.
I mean, it could be that thing like in when you see Collateral, and that you have Jason Statham's character in the very beginning, who is confirmed to be Chev Chelios, I think, the transporter. Look that up in Michael Mann's Collateral. No. Jason Statham and
it
Tom
just drops
Cruise.
the thing off for him.
Yeah, he's like, I loved you in Hot Shots. I forgot where I was going with that. Doesn't matter.
But no, so this is it was so fun to go back and watch Jackie Chan, because the thing is, you forget peak Jackie Chan, just how good he was. You forget when you see new movies, even like first, second Rush Hour. But I'm going, Jackie is 75,000 years old right now. And also, American people just don't know how to shoot action the way that the Hong Kong action guys do. It's just a fact. Deal with it, guys. It's just the truth. But to go back, I was a little excited, a little bit worried, and none of those worries came to fruition. It's just let Jackie be Jackie, man.
So fucking charming and funny. Like the bit with the one-way mirror, or the two-way mirror. Oh my god, where he's just popping a zip, but he's like flexing and looking at himself, and she does the it's so fucking, it's so funny. It's so funny.
What the thing is, and I think that touches back to what we touched on, what Will was saying, is that Jackie, especially at his peak, even now, the guy doesn't have an ego. He's a comic. He's comedian. He'll make fun of himself, self-deprecating. He's, as an act star, the joy of his characters that he plays are that he's often on the back foot, he's often overmatched, and he's often getting hurt. In like silly ways or funny ways, or like he's avoiding danger in the most incredible ways, but at the same time, like, it's funny. Like he's always said, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin.
It's very slapsticky.
Yeah.
It's his movements, it's his using the environment and props and things like that. It makes it so much more authentic and real. Like these fight scenes do still feel like super choreographed, but they feel so natural. Like it's like a dance.
It's slapstick without making fun.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, at no way you're laughing with the movie.
And it's brutal. There are like punches and kicks and moves in this that you're just like, oof. Like you feel the realness behind them, the weight. It's a testament to how it's shot.
So like I said, I once upon a time got to be on set, be a bad guy in a Hong Kong action movie, and to see how they sort of got stuff done. And I remember his name, Benny Chio, I think, was the director. I think he's worked with Jackie. And but I remember this one scene where there's this fight going on with us, and one of the action stars kicked one of us in the face. It was the other guy, and they kind of like, they stopped, and the director came up and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, look at the playback. Like he actually kicked him in the face, and you instead of grabbing him and continue, you stopped, going, "Oh, you okay? Wait until I say cut." You know, because I'm like, we look at it. He kicked him in the fucking face. It looks amazing, and I'm like, "Oh my god, man! Hong Kong, they don't fuck around."
I want to get kicked in the face.
Well, that's why. Dude, it was the moneymaker.
How did you die? How did you die in this movie?
I got shot in the back by a sniper from or something like that. But no, I was so annoyed. I never got to shoot a gun. I never got to. I was always the guy driving the minivan, dressed in leather, getting bitch slapped in the back of the head. I'm like, I got to hold a gun on the good guys for a moment, and then I got blown away. At least I got a squib.
There you go. Oh shit, that's cool.
And so I got 2 takes of the squib going off. That was fun. But
does that end is that the end cap on your reel, your show reel?
It should be. I could try and find that. It'd be great. But it's just proper Hong Kong action movies of this time. It's let the camera run. It's don't cut away. Don't use quick cuts. And if you're going to use a cut, they use that. You know, you let the punch land, and then the next cut you let the punch land again, and it just makes it feel so big,
so good.
And like you were saying, Ryan, you're like, wow, how do they do this? It looks so real. And then you watch.
They fucking did it.
The post-credit scene. It's like, oh man, everyone went to hospital.
God, yeah, this is like
literally everyone.
Everyone's in neck braces. Everyone's being airlifted out. Like,
I mean, Jackie Chan does half the movie with a broken ankle.
Yeah,
with his foot in a cast. There's a couple of times you see him running, going, "Oh, he's running on a broken ankle right now." Because
Steven Seagal's like, "Yeah, I do that shit all the time."
From his lazy boy chair.
We didn't even get into what's the plot of this movie. Jackie Chan goes to New York.
This is the thing, because I texted you guys, I remember this movie being a bit of a rumble in the Bronx. I don't remember the plot being kind of like The Departed. It's quite a complex thing. So basically, there's no way to say this basically, but Hong Kong cop goes to help he's going for a wedding and helps his uncle Benny or Billy or whatever.
Is he a cop? I thought he was just a guy.
Never said in the movie, but it is right here in the description of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's apparently a Hong Kong cop. He goes for a wedding in the Bronx, Vancouver, and he's helping his uncle Bill sell his grocery store. He inadvertently, does advertently, pisses off the local street gang, motorcycle gang. So they start just trying to end him because he embarrassed them. And so then they'd keep trashing it. I mean, like you said, you brought up, was his name Antoine or Angelo?
Angelo.
The
Dirtbag Daniel Craig. Yes.
Yeah. He is like the henchman of this gang, and he gets involved in accidentally or inadvertently stealing some diamonds from big gangsters. So
I mean, hang on. He stumbles upon this.
Right.
The culmination of this, while all of this Jackie Chan grocery store thing is going on, simultaneously I think there's like a news thing that happens that there was like a diamond heist that went wrong, like diamonds were stolen.
Yeah, it's like thrown on in like the background on the news.
So it cuts to it's like the villains from Predator 2, like the Jamaican gang, have the diamonds who are then trying to sell them to a white villain. Sure, just generic villain.
Wrong. Angelo ends up with them, and then
but they end up in the same street. Like New York is very small in this movie.
The Bronx is very small. It's like it's they've got no room for streets with all those mountains around the side.
It's literally like Bronx Boulevard and New York Avenue. It's like the 2 street names that they have.
Yeah. No attempt to even use real like names or anything like that.
But like,
where's the Brooklyn Bridge? It's over there. Like it doesn't
behind
matter.
that mountain over there with the trees. But no, so it turns out that where Jackie Chan is staying, his neighbor is a small paraplegic Chinese American teenager, whose sister is also the lingerie dancer / like girl from the biker gang. And then
the main guy's
Angelo,
not girlfriend.
Again, stick with me. Angelo then takes the diamonds, hides it in the wheelchair. But of course, there's also the subplot of wheelchair boy needing a new pillow.
Yeah.
So,
cushion. Then, my cushion.
Act 2, like the end of Act 2 is basically that Jackie gets together with the biker gang and says, "Look, you guys aren't all bad, and these guys are real bad. So why don't we?" After you have, by the way, destroyed everything in this supermarket and then caused it to be demolished by these other guys, let's team up for the good of the neighborhood. and take out the syndicate.
He goes to their gang hideout and he doesn't like try and solve the problem. He's like, all right, if you guys want to do this, I'm going to beat all of you up. Well, but also they kidnap two of the members of this gang, drive them out to the local rock quarry / river / mountain range, put one of them in which I never clocked when I was younger, but the guy busts into the hideout holding 2 garbage bags full of this mulch person, drops him on the floor.
He would have had to pick him up piece by piece.
Fucking carried him out. Like, I picture this, like, I want that movie where it's the guy's like on a ferry, on a subway, in a cab, just schlepping these 2 garbage bags full of his buddy. And like, it's just like leaking on the bottom
soup with him. Yeah.
Everyone on the subway, no one's even acknowledging this person.
Like, it's the most realistic part of the New York part of this movie.
Right.
Yeah. It's the only way you can take the HOV lane. God damn. But the idea of this guy trekking like 40 miles with these 2 garbage bags.
Yeah.
Hey, where's Lenny? He's right here.
But that's kind of the inciting incident of the team up, is that they're going, well, we're bad guys. It's kind of like Wreck-It Ralph. We're bad guy. It doesn't mean I'm bad guy. I mean, we don't wood chipper people. We just fuck up people's supermarkets. We're just, we're just scallywags.
Street toughs. Yeah, they're street toughs.
Well, and then you get the D plot of the police are also involved looking for the diamonds.
But it does set up, and I had no fucking memory of this until it happened, a really impressive action scene with a very real, massive, like, bloody hovercraft.
The hovercraft.
Going through streets, trashing shit, breaking things, crashing anything. I'm like going,
forgot how big this movie is.
It is big!
Is. Like, the crashes, the explosions, all of it. Massive.
Straight up just runs over Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Like,
I love the hovercraft would hit people and they would fly like 40 yards. Oh my God. Just like into trees. Yeah. There's a scene where he's running, holding a child, and he just fucking rugby chucks it to a lady. Great.
I died. Like, every time I see that, it's so funny because it's like, it goes from real human kid to just like to 2 trash bags and a dress, and he's
spiraling football.
I think I mentioned like you can count on 2 hands how many times the poor wheelchair boy is like thrown violently out of his wheelchair. It happens constantly,
and it's awesome.
It's my new favorite thing.
It does. Well, I figured we didn't get the death of a child, but I thought, okay, well, all right, like,
what was this movie rated? Because there's a lot of like F-bombs in this movie.
Well, it was funny because
rated
they pointed it out, and then there were no F-bombs until halfway in the movie. And then they just kind of went, fuck it. And then suddenly, but remember, it's ADR'd, so they could have added just all that stuff, in
Jackie Chan goes on a really dark racist tirade.
They let real current day Jackie
He
Chan
really leans into the Jews. Oof. Oh, God.
So the Hong Kong version, I'm looking now. Wait, what? Wow, the Hong Kong version is 16 minutes longer.
Does it have the ending that was clearly chopped off of?
Well, I wonder, and that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Is that
this movie has freeze frame
because
ending.
it does, it's The Departed, and then it's
you can't compare these two.
It is The Departed.
No, it's not.
Okay, you know what I'll do? It's Infernal Affairs, which The Departed ripped off. I'll go for the Hong Kong version. Thank you very much.
I definitely think the writer of Infernal Affairs saw this movie and he's like, wait, what if this movie had 100% less Jackie Chan?
Yeah, and no action, but just tension. I'm like, yes.
Can we keep the wheelchair kid? No.
I don't know what the big deal is. I really don't. But it then suddenly, like, because again, I just remember this being a kung fu movie, and then when we get to the and it really is impressive. I'm sorry, but the hovercraft action is impressive. But then we get to Jackie Chan stealing a 6-foot sword from a museum and then jamming it up at the outside of a bright
Lamborghini that gets
Lamborghini Countach, and then taking
in gold.
Yeah, with a sword. And Ryan, you were talking about last night, and it is the best part because this is where the movie has just progressed. And then there is 4 minutes left of the movie. We haven't dealt with anything to do with the supermarket, the insurance, the consequences. the boy, the relationship, or anything to do with this wedding that Jackie Chan was supposed to attend. But somehow everyone's got together, and the cops, they have duct taped this fucking thing back together, and they go, "Hey, Jackie, go and get the revenge. The bad guy's on hole 17 of this golf course."
There's a shot of him in the pilot or whatever, the driver of this hovercraft, that's showing him like where the switches go, and he's just like, "All right, got it. It's
go get it.
Flip this, and here you go." And he's like, "Okay." And
so
like wild to me.
They run over White Tiger. They leave him quite literally squished into the floor, bare-assed, and then it just cuts to the inside. Freeze frame. Credits.
There's a scene when the cops are also chasing these like other henchmen who look like they're huge black suits. They're kind of scary. The ponytail guy looks like that was a weird choice. But there's a scene where the cops are chasing them. They turn around and shoot out the cops, and the one black cop who is constantly smoking a cigar looks like he is shot in the face.
Yes.
Like shot in the cigar.
It shoots the cigar.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And he's totally fine.
It's a bulletproof cigar.
Fine.
Like you see a spark. I was like, what? Did he just get shot in the cigar? The cigar that's in his mouth?
And he goes right back and I go, "Oh, that was brutal." And then in the next scene he's just, "Oh, I'm good."
Yeah. He has a new cigar.
Yeah. This movie, like, it just ends so fast. It's like the movie is like chugging along, and then all of a sudden the movie checked its watch and it's like, "Oh my god, we're almost out of runtime." Runs over somebody, cool. Credits, go.
We've only got 6 feet of film left. Quick.
Get the duct tape. Yeah.
We spent all the rest of our filming budget on refrigerators for that one scene.
Yeah. The whole third act like really hinges on this like massive set piece, but it does feel so rushed and weird and abrupt and flawlessly New York.
And nothing is wrapped up really, other than like they got. By the way, the villain's name is White Tiger.
White Tiger, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. But like, other than like,
how do you know that
they
name?
run him over.
He's like, "I want to talk to White Tiger." I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, my bad.
But like, literally nothing else is wrapped up in this movie.
Generic white drug lords.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
There's nothing wrapped up. And the thing is, the only thing that was wrapped up is everybody's broken bones. So while we talk about Jackie Chan broke his right ankle doing the scene where he jumps on the moving hovercraft,
and so much that that shot is so famous that when I'm rewatching this movie, you know exactly when it happens, and it's just like,
you can see it. Much like Tom
Cruise, for sure.
Director Stanley Tong, he also sprained his ankle, completed the movie on crutches. In fact, the scene where Jackie jumps from the building onto the fire escape, the director did first to test, did it in a cable and decided it would be safer without the cable. But there's more. Françoise Yip, the lingerie dance character, broke her leg while filming the scene where she rides the motorbike on top of cars. So she came to set with her leg plastered.
That scene where they're on the motorcycles riding on these cars. Again, it's like just an activity that they're doing constantly. It's like
that's just a normal
crazy.
But
that whole sequence though, because his uncle has the fancy car that he's rented. Like, it's great. And she got Jackie's little onesie, man.
Jackie out there in his little blue onesie. It's amazing. But two of the stunt women also broke their legs during stunts on bikes. So you've got 3 broken legs, a broken ankle, and a sprained ankle during this movie alone. And then, like, you see, I mean, one of those stunt women you see as
oh yeah,
what was that? I forget, because it was Jackie. I think it was working on Cannonball Run. That he saw. It was kind of what Hal Needham was doing. Is that after the movie ends, you get all these outtakes at the end, and that's why Jackie Chan movies from that point on, they all had them. He goes, "Oh no, that's cool. That's cool. That's funny. I like that." But you see, like, one of the stunt women it goes wrong, going off that last car, and the bike goes on top of her, and it's like. Oof. You know, this that's when you're just like,
I was like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah, it's like, you really do feel bad.
Yeah, I don't. This is the sausage I don't need to see how it's made. Like, you hear outtakes and goofs. And it's like, oh, these are funny, like flub lines. Like, no, these are people getting real seriously hurt.
Ooh, okay. So here we go. Curiously, the American dub of the film, like we were talking about, they kind of changed it a little bit, removed all references to him being a cop from Hong Kong.
So he's just a fucking guy?
He's just a dope-ass dude from Hong Kong that likes to kick ass and take names.
I like that when in the scene when you get the scene where he's like doing fitness and he's just handstand walking,
Walking
and
around.
the doorbell rings, but he doesn't stop. He walks over to the door on his hands, and then gets off,
Insanity.
and then has to run to put pants on.
Yeah. Oh my god! And then like his uncle Bill is marrying that. She's just awesome. That American
Yeah.
lady. So he's
Yeah.
marrying like this African American lady, but she's dubbed again, like you were saying, is she's so big and she's
Yeah.
talking English. And then you see Uncle Bill speaking Cantonese, and everything's just. You wonder what it
Yeah.
would be like on set. Everyone.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
I'm
You do
fascinated.
this movie, like, as crazy as it sounds when I'm rewatching this, for how iconic his outfit is when he takes his jean jacket off and he's just got the black tank top turtleneck.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
He pulled. Exactly. I'm watching that going. I mean, I've seen women wear that and look good. I'm like, why is Jackie? Jackie, it's working for you. Don't know why.
It's
but
the
I had that
hair
whole
too.
moment. He's like, yeah. You know, it's like Archie. He goes, I started the black turtleneck. He's like,
Yeah. But it's like it's crazy to think that it's such an iconic costume because it's so simple. That's up there with like Bruce Lee wearing the yellow, or in Kill Bill. Like, it's a very iconic martial arts outfit, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a great bit because we definitely all talked about it, and it's the one thing that pulled us out of the movie. There's one specific thing that the young child is playing with.
Oh,
video
yeah.
game. He's playing
Game
with
Gear.
Sega Game Gear, and there's no game in the back, and like.
Yeah.
I
And, like,
remember
thing is,
because I had a Game Gear when I saw this
drove
movie.
me up the fucking wall.
It did. Well, and so the kid is going to school and they first meet. He casually hands it to him.
Yeah. Hey kid, I've never just met. Here, have
Yeah,
a Sega Game
and
Gear.
he's like, "It's my old video game." So I'm like, "Motherfucker, that shit just came out. I got one of
like,
these.
right,
I'm
like
burning
that
through
year.
double batteries."
Whoa. When you're in Asia, we get that stuff way earlier. You could get that stuff,
wow.
you know, a guy fell off the back of a truck, mate, no problem. That stuff's old.
Fell off a boarding school. Sure.
Yeah, right.
So advanced you don't need a cartridge.
This is great. So Françoise Yip, her casting agent called saying they're looking for a Chinese woman who could speak Chinese, dance, and ride a motorcycle. She couldn't do any of those.
Talk about lying on your resume to get the
agent
gig.
said, whatever,
Hell
we'll
yeah.
just tell him. And she was cast and was on set filming 2 days later. She was.
That's
cast
Nancy, right?
2
The girl that
days.
plays Nancy,
I think so. Let me.
the sister.
Yeah.
Or no,
sister.
no,
Yeah,
or no,
yes,
or
the kid that plays the Game Gears.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's stunning. Like, the scene when he goes to visit her in the nightclub and she's dancing and there's just a fucking tiger.
Yeah.
Well, it's one, there's a tiger. 2, she's dancing
Crazy.
super sexy, right?
Yeah.
And then this club is super cool, and then there's just Jackie Chan dressed as Jackie Chan in the middle of this club. Hey, hello. You know, he's just so amazingly out of place in this place. And then like she's dancing sexy, and he's like, oh, hello. He's just like said, he's Mr. Bean with more kicks.
Yes.
Yeah. She's great though. If you've ever seen the movie Black Mask, she's like Jet Li's opposite in that movie too.
Okay.
And Black Mask rules. That's so.
Yeah, she had quite a bit of run actually. She did a lot.
I think she was an Arrow as well.
She was in The Predator. As the
that's
traffic
unfortunate.
supervisor.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Alien versus Predator, Requiem, Blade Trinity. But there's a bunch.
All the hits.
all the
Just
bangers.
died. Black Mask, like you said. But there's a bunch of. Well, you know what? Like I said, she worked a lot more than I did. She's in Smallville, Andromeda, Blood Ties, Fringe, Arrow. Yeah, she's still going. She's in 2023, Goosebumps, 8 episodes. So she's still cracking away, man. She's had quite a career.
But this was a movie that I just started my Jackie Chan like obsession, and I was like way into Hong Kong action cinema like at this time.
And thing is, that's what this movie should do. And the thing is, it did 2 things. It made anyone that hadn't seen Jackie Chan go back in time, and it then brought Jackie into American movies where we had some absolute bangers. Like the first couple of Rush Hours were great, and Shanghai Noon. I love that. That's actually, I rewatched that and I go, is that movie good? And then I watch it and go, oh, this movie is good. This is a funny movie.
I liked the most recent one he did with the James Bond as the villain.
The Foreigner.
The Foreigner.
Yeah, I didn't not like it, but
yeah, he's quite understated in that one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was quite interesting. This is also weird, but the British version of the film is 42 seconds shorter than the American version. And I guess we cut out you guys drinking coffee or something.
They cut the ending with White Tiger like right as the clothes are shorn off.
Yeah.
That's where it freeze frames.
Yeah, freeze frame right before he runs him over. And then yeah, that's pretty much how it works. But
it's a pretty like Scooby-Doo ending for how they bag the villain. Like they just run over him with like and no harm, like he's not injured, just his clothes ripped off, his bare ass for all the
I was thinking about this, and I think it's because it's a Hong Kong movie. It's a little bit kind of like into the Asian mindset of like, I just need to get my revenge. I just need to get, like, I have lost face, so now you must lose face. Whereas if it was an American movie, you'd need to tie up all the loose ends, and you'd just be like, oh, what's going to happen? And who's getting married? And what happened to the place? And did you get the insurance thing? And it's going to be great to see you. I'm going back to Hong Kong. Like, the Asian mindset is it's all about face. If you've lost face, you must gain face back. And they do that. They humiliate the bad guy. They literally run him over, all of them together, the people that have been wronged, and they leave him bare-assed on the floor like a fucking idiot. You are embarrassed. I now have my fucking credibility back. We can end the movie. And I think that's just why it is, because for an Asian audience, that's a lot more like, cool. All right, well,
and there's absolutely no romance in this movie. Like they set up the flirtatious, friendship with him, and
the brother really wants Jackie to bang his sister.
Thank you. That is what I want to talk about. The pimp of a brother who's like, hey, you see my sister? She's super hot. You should fuck her.
My God.
Yeah. Just constantly. Jackie's like, I'm 30 years older. His brother's like, I do not care.
Right.
Get in there and tear it up.
Yeah, dude,
all it takes is one Game Gear.
Dude, he's like sort of like the older characters of Game of Thrones trying to marry off their younger daughters. Oh, they are ripe. They've had their first blooding. And I'm like, this kid is just like, please, no, seriously, guy I've just met that gave me a Game Gear. Please, bang my sister.
And also, it's the same kind of dynamic relationship that you would get in a lesser film like a Black Adam, where it's this young kid paired up with this fucking superhero. Except the superhero in this is Jackie Chan. And he's so fun and charming and charismatic.
Of all movies, I figured that you would reference right then, to give us the idea to understand.
The Iron Giant?
You went with Black Adam.
What movie nobody has seen?
It's one of my favorites. What can I say?
Enough to reference it. Absolutely fascinating.
You haven't seen Black Adam, you racist.
Nothing much more to say apart from this is the best example of the Bronx ever put on film. It's like a documentary for New York, but it is also just fucking awesome.
It's a fun time.
Jackie Chan kicking butt, and well, just it's a pleasure. It was a joy. It was awesome. But then there was the big surprise of the week. I knew
something's lurking in the deep.
Yep. I knew I was going to enjoy Rumble in the Bronx. I was convinced I was going to just have fun making fun of Ryan for making us watch this movie. But we watched Crawl and loved it.
And to be clear, Crawl, again, is the origin story of Pauly Shore's character in Son-in-Law.
Very true. Very, very true.
It's a biopic.
If only he had been eaten in this movie.
Yes.
And the thing about it is, most movies are like, you get away, and then you get away. This movie is, you get bitten by an alligator, then you get bitten again by an alligator, then you get thrown around by an alligator, you get your arm ripped off by an alligator, and then maybe you get away after literally every other character gets eaten by an alligator. This is a brutal movie.
While the main characters do, spoiler alert, do survive through the end of this film, they died shortly after from massive infections.
Oh my God.
Shockingly.
Minutes later after this credits roll.
If it's not the feces they're rolling in, if it's not the dirty flood water, or if it's not the filthy teeth of the massive bites that they then, just the gaping wounds that they have throughout this movie while still functioning.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, she has a gun, an alligator bites her arm, and she unloads the gun into the alligator. And I'm just like, yes. This movie rules.
Rock hard. No, it's great. This movie, like I said, it's just one of those you read the log line of the plot or you see the trailer and you're like, oh, I get it, whatever. It's another one of these. But then you watch it and it's a very competently made, good looking foreign film set in air quotes Florida.
Yeah. I mean, just seriously. Okay, audience, just bear with me for 1 second. I will just try and boil it down. But it tells a story. It sets up that the main character is a University of Florida swimmer. And you better understand that swimming is going to be a big part of this movie. Then she's a estranged father, hurricane coming into Florida. She decides to drive into the hurricane. And they shot a movie in 41 days in a warehouse in Serbia. Everything about this screams Steven Seagal movie. And what we actually get is a very well crafted, this guy, he's got experience directing horror film. He had directed Piranha 3D, which, almost like, I've heard it was funny. I haven't watched either of those, but this movie should have sucked. And I went in expecting it to suck. And from 20 minutes in, I realized it wasn't going to suck. And then towards the end, I was like, one day I hope I can make a movie as well as they made a movie. It's where I ended up. Like, it's legitimately good.
Yeah. And for the budget, what I think we said it was like, what, 14 million?
Yeah, 15 mil. It made 91 million.
Yeah.
It's like,
and for a low budget, like not since I saw what Lee Winnell did with The Invisible Man, which I think was something insane. I think it was like either 7 million or 10 million that just made a boatload of money. Like to see a low budget film look and feel that big, like especially with the scale, with the CGI, the water, everything, it's crazy that it only cost, was it 14 million in Serbian dollars?
Right.
Well, I think that's kind of what we were talking about, is that when you take 15 million US and you take it to Serbia, and you've got Serbian crew and locations and you've got British cast and stuff like that, that 15 mil is now 50, and it's like, it enables you to get more quite literal bang for your quite literal buck. And they do. Because I think it was you, Ryan, you said it last night, is there's not a wasted dollar on this budget. Like the CGI is good.
Yeah.
Like there's moments where the CGI is excellent. The acting is good. The production design, the set that they built. I mean, granted, you can see where it's being extended by CGI, but they still built this house and that gas station and that road and then made it and rigged it for flooding. It's not easy to do. And it's like, it's funny when you get into the interesting facts about this movie. 90% of the interesting facts are telling you how safe the dogs were. Because there's a lot of dog action and there's a lot of water, and they get into a lot of details about those dogs were at no time in danger, very well trained, and like they weren't even caring about the actors. And also, apparently, guys, we were talking about this last night. The water was 84 degrees, so it kept at a constant 84 degrees and constantly filtered.
Nice.
Because we were talking about how this must have been a nightmare to shoot,
especially on that budget. When you think about, like, for sure, like given that, you're like, oof.
Yeah, you spent 39 days with them in the water.
I can't, it's so funny. I'm like thinking back, were there any practical gators used, like animatronic gators, or was it all CGI?
Only when they were shooting and killing the gators, so then they use real gators. Okay. That's no dogs were hurt, but 38 alligators were killed.
Yeah, Serbia is very anti-gator.
Or anti-Florida. But no, it didn't seem to. And it seemed to be a lot of CGI.
Yeah.
But they used it well, because there was bits where
really well.
We were pointing it out. There was interactions with the water. And that when you can have water interactions and it's done with bad CGI, it just gives it away. Your brain. But it's bits where the tails would swing through the water and it would put these splashes up that I'm like, what did they do? Did they have like some guy with a big green thing? Like
I assume that's why I was wondering. I'm like, there had to have been some shots where they had like some practical animatronic.
I would love to see some behind the scenes stuff on this. Like
Corridor Crew, figure it out.
Yeah,
no, we're back.
Yeah, give it to Corridor Crew, because I would enjoy it. But like Will, like for me, like you yourself, you're a screenwriter,
our resident gator expert.
Yeah, our resident gator expert. But like, just like your take on this movie, because like by the end of it, I was sitting there going, man, this is the kind of movie I could see Will making. Like it's like,
yeah.
No, I was very impressed with like you guys were saying, like how well they used their small budget. you know, when you hear filmed in Serbia, you know, pretty much we were laughing at the crew because everybody was like
Vitch.
Popovich, like spoke Vitch, like
Yeah.
and like that was like 98 names were all ended in Vitch. But it's one of those movies where you do kind of expect it to be more of like a Sharknado, but like no, they did a really good job of figuring out like how to draw out the tension. There's some like, you know, we were laughing a little bit at the beginning, like every like 2 minutes they were calling the sister to get the exposition.
What's your favorite part?
Yeah, it was cracking me up.
Well,
And it's
how
like,
else was she gonna know that her dad was in danger? Because she doesn't talk to her dad, but she talks to her sister. I mean, come on.
Yes. But the other thing I loved is this movie also knew when to have fun, because it's like, well, we can't just have Barry Pepper and Skins Girl be the main. We got to have some other things. So when they introduced like the shoplifters, that was my absolute favorite.
Oh
part.
yeah, that was great.
That was so good. And the only thing about like the production design of this movie is, sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear.
Is that an ice cream truck?
There's an ice cream truck that's been parked outside for 10 minutes.
Will is now carrying his iPad outside.
I wish there were some gators in this neighborhood. Take care of this, but sorry. Oh, now it's shut off. Now they heard me complaining, I guess. But the only thing about the production design in this the whole movie is, I don't think they understand in Serbia that hot dogs are on grills, like when they need to be cooked. They're not just on glass shelves at room temperature. Because like the guy just went and just took a bite. He was like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "No,
that is
no."
The last two things we talked about are perfect examples of something that Ryan mentioned at the beginning, which is when you'd often get red herringed. Like it would build up to a moment, and then another one was like it's right around the time when Will said, "Oh man, I guess we need to call the sister again." The gator actually treads on the phone and goes, "No, we're done with that. Enough exposition."
Every time, like I was so fun watching you guys guess what was going to happen. I'm like, no, you're wrong every single time. Like
it was like I said, those three shots.
They tee it up to be so predictable, but it's not. Like
no, not at all. That's what I think that's so great about the movie is every time you know what's going to happen, it doesn't do it. And it's like with those three shoplifters, the perfect one. They're looting. There's an opportunity. They introduce those characters and then get rid of those characters in 4 minutes flat.
And it's how they do it too, the way it's set up.
Background. It's happening in the background. Yeah. We're just like any other movie would be like focused on this or whatever. And then it's really good movie. Yeah. I'm genuinely going to go to bat for this movie. Like,
it really is like a very, very. It's like an echo of Jaws. Like the tension. Like it plays all the hits, but it's like a redheaded stepchild of it. You know, it doesn't have that Spielberg panache.
It's one of those. It's like even like Tarantino says, it's like good artists borrow, great artists steal. And it's like in this case, they, like you said, they're using the guitar riffs. They're using, like I said, it's the classic, the POV of the crocodile. Now, in this case, the great add-on is the murky water and the fact it's knee-deep kind of thing. It's like that extra little thing. But like they didn't overuse it, and they weren't like going, "Hey, Jaws, right?" You know, they were just like, "No, it's a good way to do it. We're gonna do it." And it's like. The idea of like we're expecting the movie to be one alligator, suddenly there's two.
Yeah, there's many.
Like, it's gonna be two. No, it's 37.
It's like so many fucking alligators. Like,
dude, that part in the movie, this is my absolute favorite shot, is the overhead shot of the police officer as like 29 alligators come in and then just rip him apart. It was so cool. God, it was awesome.
I honestly would have loved to have seen this in a packed theater.
Yeah,
it's like the chance of seeing it in a packed theater almost zero. I mean, I did 90 minutes. I guess it must have all been word of mouth. This is a word of mouth movie. I put that box office on people go, no.
Yeah, I remember like hearing about it, and you like hear people talk about it on Twitter, which is how I hear about most of my movies now. If like, which is a gift and a curse, I suppose. But like, what I really loved about this movie too is you could see that it can get tiring like real fast, but it moves at a clip. Like they keep moving these characters around. They get them once they get into the basement, they get them out of the crawl space. Then now they're navigating to the gas station. They get on the boat, there's a flood. The boat fucking throws them back into the house.
Oh, brilliant.
Now they have to go up. It's
and then
like,
now they're on the roof, and it's just
all the set pieces are really good.
They played it brilliant because every single time I was convinced, all right, okay, good. Oh, are they getting it? Oh no. It just kept just oh no.
Barry Pepper saves the dog and then his arm is immediately ripped off.
Yeah.
The most awful way.
What was the dog's name? Sugar, right?
The tourniquet
Sugar.
budget.
Yeah,
Yes,
the tourniquet budget on this movie is insane. It's through the roof. $10 million of this $15 million budget was spent on tourniquet training.
That's not a huge body count in this movie. I think 5 people, maybe, right? It's the
3 cops, the three people. Yeah, that's
it, right?
And then Barry Pepper.
I mean, that's the same with the original Jurassic Park was only 5 people. So, right up there.
Well, they made 3 more of those, or however many. But I do hope, though, that with a sequel coming out for this, I hope it's not like some insane, even like a $30-40 million budget for that. Like, I hope it maintains the charm.
Look, you
like,
said
what made this
in
so
New York,
good?
right?
Yeah, that's
if
what I
they
heard.
don't shoot it in Dubrovnik, I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
They're shooting it in the Bronx.
Right up in those mountains.
Staying in the mountains, exactly. I would like to see the sequel. I mean, it's straight up just like I was saying, it's a movie that I would, if I had been involved in this movie, I'd be super proud.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like there's too many $250 million movies. There's too much bloated bullshit, out there, and that's like, Will, I bring it up, but like I know we won't talk about it. But your script is brilliant. Like I want to watch that movie. I've read your script. I go, why don't they make this movie? This is great. But
that's what I'm saying.
But this is like that. It's just straight up. Wow, you took a really simple idea, you ran with it well. And it's kind of like, I was saying to the guys in retrospect now, if you guys are long fans of the show or listen to any episodes, I hate horror movies, but I was able to
not anymore.
Was it Barbarian?
Barbarian,
was one of the movies that has stuck with me all year. Like going, no, that was really entertaining.
Yeah,
and that's how I see this movie. No, I was entertained. I was surprised. I was impressed. I was crying and laughing like out loud, going, "Whoa!" That's what you want from a movie.
Yeah, it's got the whisper of a slasher, but with the charm of like a creature feature. But it's weirdly grounded, but it's still like ridiculous. Insane. Yeah,
it's a monster movie. It's just an old school monster movie, and it's that's what I thought was so fun. I really dug it. It is something that I'm going to use as a template as we're seeking financing to be like, hey, look, this is what they did with 15 million.
We could shoot it in Serbia.
We could shoot in Serbia. And I mean, this movie has way more CGI than the project I'm working on does. So it's something where I could be like, see, like they're using temperature controlled water. They're, having to use it. Because the shots in this the CG shots are really complex and like staged really well.
And if they'd been shit, it would have completely taken us out of the movie. Definitely. And like I said, you're right, Will, that instead of like sort of taking the camera away from it, we're actually bringing the camera to it. And you've got the trees whipping in the background, and you've got the storm rolling in, and you've got the rain coming on. That every time those shots would come on, every single one of us was like, that looks really good. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you can tell it's CGI, but also it looks really good.
You get that, like, you briefly get that like volume feel, but the volume feels massive. Like you can see the seam, sure, but it still looks good. Like it still looks really good.
It brings. I mean, this is the thing, right? So then listen to this. It's like, shot in a warehouse in Belgrade,
which is crazy. Well, I guess
40,
it makes sense.
41 days, so just over a month of shooting and 3 months of VFX. Bish bash bosh. There's your movie.
Damn,
that's insane.
Yeah, that's a fucking template right there.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, like, right, I will, like, absolutely go look at what they did with this. Let's talk to these guys.
I mean, with such a huge name like Barry Pepper attached to it, I mean, come on.
Hey.
We love Barry Pepper.
I've had a soft spot for Barry Pepper ever since I saw him in Saving Private Ryan. Like I don't know, the guy's got an interesting face. He's got interesting.
What did I say last night? Every time he busts a nut, it's just pepper spray.
You really want to bring that back?
That's what he calls it. Yeah.
You just reminded me of that.
Barry Pepper, you can use that.
Yeah. There you go. We'll get that T-shirt made for you, Barry. We'll
like LeBron. Just
So, all right, look, really quickly, like because this is, we're doing this.
Yeah, what was the goal for this one? I don't even know.
Well, the goal, we're trying to pick one that's like, I honestly, I thought I knew what was going to win. As usual, I thought I had a favorite, but like at the end of it, I think I've changed my mind. But I just actually want to ask straight up, like, which was your favorite movie of the three? Really hard, because we enjoyed
that is tough.
all three.
I have such a soft spot for Leon. Same with the fact that Rumble in the Bronx like changed my perception for how action could look and feel in movies. And then Crawl, which is just a movie I randomly decided to watch one day. I was like, oh my God, you guys would love this. And I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah.
It's cool for me.
Yeah.
Crawl is my favorite watch of the week.
Of the week? Sure. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Had I watched not the extended cut of The Professional, I'd probably feel different.
Leon is
yeah.
The movie fan of me. Like, I almost like the kid that just wants to talk about movies and, like, as a kid just religiously watch movies. That movie is a personal favorite of mine. Rumble in the Bronx, Jackie Chan, it can't be beat. But I love to be surprised.
Yeah.
I love to be surprised by movies. I love to be proved wrong about, walk in with a perspective and then walk out going, nope, that was legit. I'm like, I Crawl.
There's a scene in Crawl where she's crawling.
Yep.
And she crawls herself into a crawl space when she stumbles upon the she stumbles upon the alligator den, and she's there's the there. I was like, oh my God, they're just gonna do an aliens where the mother alligator is like, oh no, my eggs.
I was legitimately, it should be she crawls herself to safety. It's not safety, it's the den. And then she puts her hand through like the eggs, cracks a couple of the eggs, and we're like,
there's so much much like in Jaws, like reaching over for something that's just too far away in murky water that you can't see what's below it.
Yeah.
Thinking like, oh shit, a gator's gonna pop out. And like, while that does happen, it doesn't happen when you think it does.
Or to the person you think at the time you think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like I was saying, is they kept giving us things and then immediately taking them away. There's these guys, it's taken away. We're on the boat, we're back in. There's a gun. You've used all the bullets up 30 seconds later. It's like, just constantly on the back foot.
It's Murphy's Crawl,
Yeah, it's just, it is a ticking clock of a movie from the second she gets to that house. It's just constant pressure, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's
and it's a brief, what do we say? It was like 97 minutes.
It was not even that. It was like, I was joking. It's like a tight 80, because when you you have to have the credits to get to 90. So they did a great bloody job.
Yeah. But it felt like a very robust film. Like I said, there was no wasted time in this.
No fat in this movie whatsoever. I will say, I think of the three, like, which was my favorite, I was very surprised by Crawl, and I really, really liked it. But I think at the end of the day, and as much as I love Rumble in the Bronx, I think I have to pick Leon.
Well, hang on. I'm going to change the question slightly, because there's two questions. One is, which was your favorite movie? And one is, which is the one that is the best example of America from a foreign director? Because that is Leon.
For sure.
He is a home run. The winner this week is Leon, but the movie I enjoyed the most
Rumble in the Bronx was like someone whispered New York in the director's ear. And he's like, oh, okay, I got it.
Book tickets to Vancouver.
And Crawl is just like the director, who I imagine just said like, what's the animal they have in Florida? Gators. That's my movie. Right. Here's 14 million Serbian bucks. I don't know what the currency is.
I do think it might be a little bit of a Godzilla -1 thing, where they're like, oh, we made it for 8 million. And it's like, really? But in like Japan, it's like, everybody.
I was going to say the same
being
team.
fed literally peanuts. Like
the same team that worked on Godzilla -1 did the CGI for this movie.
I believe it. I mean, that's a super robust team.
I've done a little quick bit of Googling. Okay, so it's the Serbian dinar. Okay. So, hang on a second. I'm going to do this.
$1 is equal to 8 million dinars.
Okay, it is.
$200 million.
Because one Serbian dinar is 0.0094 So it's not even 9 cents. It's 1,000th of a cent. So I've tried to do $15 million. It seems to be somewhere in the region of 159 billion Serbian dinars or something.
Fuck yeah.
This is all the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
The most
like
expensive
that scene
Serbian
from
film ever made.
Eurotrip where they've only got 36 cents American and they buy a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're living in luxury.
That's great.
They have servants and everything.
I genuinely can't count how many numbers there are in this, but it's 1590592.
And prostitution is legal in Serbia, yeah?
Now we understand. This is all making sense. This is
That's
awesome.
incredible. But there you go. Everybody, go make
Wow.
movies in Serbia.
Yeah.
But okay, like I said, we're a podcast with a point, but this week it's a special episode. But for me, it was a slam dunk coming into this, and it still is a slam dunk, that what Luc Besson does with Leon, it is, to me, it's the way I talk about Verhoeven doing RoboCop, of like, it's the way, like I was saying, with Independence Day, with Roland Emmerich, is someone coming from outside of America, but making it feel very American to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it feels New York. It feels, you can touch it and feel it.
I had no idea that the interior shots were not filmed in New
did
York.
I.
So
That's the last
There
thing
you
I
go.
saw right before we logged on to
like,
record.
it feels so New York, like almost like Spike Lee's oh my God.
Like Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, like it just
Yeah,
it's that kind of grimy summer new 90s New York.
Yeah.
Like
It's a banger.
Yeah.
It's a banger.
Yep.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Officially the best non-American movie not made in America, but also made in America, but partly made in France, directed by a French person who also wrote it, starring a French person with an American person also in it. That's a very complicated and specific way of putting it. But is Leon, the professional. It's a 1994 Luc Besson movie. You can find it everywhere. It's a ball, but you know what you should be doing? You should be looking up on Just Watch, a great app and a great website to figure out where movies are streaming. And honestly, we should approach them for a sponsorship. Watch Crawl, 2019's Crawl. Get your friends together, make some popcorn, have some fun, because the three of us had a ball last night, and this is one of those great
get together, crawl around, have a few laughs. You know, that famous quote.
So the question is,
Yeah.
where do we go next week? And I think we've all kind of like fallen into this agreement. It's another one of these ones we've been wanting to do. Honestly, we've been wanting to do since the very beginning. And we couldn't, because we're trying to focus on one state alone. But we wanted to talk about something that's a very American, a very classically American sort of genre of movie, is the road trip movie. America is a big place, many things to see. There's lots of incredibly good road trip movies. And I think that's what we should do next week, is we should try to find not the one state, but the movie that brings the whole of America to us. So the classic road trip. And there's so many. I don't even know how we're going
Too
to
many. Yeah.
It's an entire genre.
And to be clear, we're not going to include planes, trains, and automobiles because we've already done it for our Thanksgiving episode.
No, we can't. There's like, you know, because it seems like Dumb and Dumber was also, we got like a road trip.
Me, Myself, and Irene. Yeah, there's a lot of road trippy ones we've already done, which kind of spawned this idea, which maybe we just do a whole new podcast on that.
No, 600 more episodes to go.
Oh.
So we'll see where we end up next week. This was such a great week, guys. I'm really looking forward to this series of specials that we're doing, actually, like, because I think there's some all these things that we've been wanting to touch on. Great choices this week, especially like Ryan, well played.
Yeah,
I thought you picked a total shit, and it was brilliant.
Yeah,
Like,
you guys
it
keep
really
saying
was.
that.
No, but the thing is, sometimes I love those shit movies.
Yeah,
it's
fair because it's not a genre you normally typically watch too.
It's not
so.
not usually my jam, and I tell you what, it's quickly becoming my marmalade.
Okay.
So from us, if you want to join in on the conversation, please do. It's great when you guys join in. You can find us. We've got a Facebook page in the United States. I mean, we've got a Reddit page as well. You can find me as That Englishman in Texas, or you can find me as Ollie Petchko on Facebook. I'm often doing movie videos on Monday because I just love movies. You can find Will as Entitled Willennial, especially on TikTok, where he loves to get into old movies you may not have ever heard of, and sometimes he brings them on the show. And with Ryan, as always, look for the great designs. If you love movies, he's got t-shirts, he's got movie posters, he's got all kinds of stuff because he loves movies just as much as you do. So if you want to cover your wall with some incredibly original
I did one for Leon.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll put that up on the. You know what? Let's start putting them up on the Facebook page. What are we doing? We'll
I don't know.
Links up so you guys can buy it. Yeah, we should probably start doing that. So you can find him as Rhino Digital, RYNO Digital. You can find him on Threadless. You can find him on Etsy. Everything else like that. So, gentlemen, thank you. What a great week from me, from Ryan, from Will. As always, thank you for joining us for this episode of the United States of a Movie podcast. We'll see you next time.